Welcome you all to the new session of computer graphics. Today we will be learning about Bresenham's line drawing algorithm. In the previous session we learnt about the derivations of this algorithm. Today we will be learning about the algorithm itself. So there are two algorithms, one for slope less than 1, one for slope greater than 1. So let us learn how this algorithm works. Initially you will be given 2 points. These two are the line end points. This is the starting end point represented as x1 y1 and this is the ending point represented as x2 y2. Using these 2 points you have to compute the value of delta x and delta y. And if delta x is greater than delta y, then it is a case of slope m less than 1. But if delta y is greater than delta x, then it is a case of slope m greater than 1. So using the given input, you have to identify whether it is a case of less than 1 or a case of slope greater than 1. Once the case is identified, we can select which algorithm to select. Whether to select this algorithm or to select this algorithm. Let me tell you how to deal with an algorithm of slope m less than 1. If you have already identified that the line slope is less than 1, then you have to find constants. First constant is find the value of 2 delta y and the second constant is 2 delta y minus 2 delta x. So you have to find the values of these two constants. But if the line is of slope m greater than 1, then instead of these two constants, you have to find the values of these two constants. That is, instead of 2 delta y, you will have to find 2 delta x. And instead of finding 2 delta y minus 2 delta x, you have to find 2 delta x minus 2 delta y. Clear? After finding the constants, next step is to find the value of initial decision parameter. Initial decision parameter is represented by P0. The equation to find P0 is equal to 2 delta y minus delta x if it is a slope m less than 1 case. But if we are dealing with a case of slope m greater than 1, then the equation to find P0 is equal to 2 delta x minus delta y. Once the initial decision parameter is computed, next you have to repeat certain process. In this algorithm, if we are in an algorithm where slope m is less than 1, then you have to repeat the steps delta x times. But here you have to repeat the steps delta y times. And in each step you have to find the values of x and y to be plotted. Because you know only the starting point and ending point. And it is your duty to find all the pixels that lie in between these 2 points. So when you will repeat steps delta x times, you will be able to find all points that lie in between these 2 points. Here also, when you repeat the steps delta y times, you will be able to plot all the pixels that lie between first point and last point. Now one more thing. In this algorithm, if pk is positive, then the equation used to find pk plus 1 is equal to pk plus 1 equals pk plus 2 delta y minus 2 delta x. That means this value. Pk plus 1 is equal to pk plus 2 delta y minus 2 delta x. And if pk is negative, then the equation becomes pk plus 1 is equal to pk plus this value 2 delta y. Okay, so you will be using these two constants in these two equations. I repeat, if pk is positive, pk plus 1 is this, and if pk is negative, pk plus 1 can be found using this equation. Similarly, if we are in this algorithm, then equations to find pk plus 1 is, if pk is positive, then pk plus 1 is equal to pk plus 2 delta x minus 2 delta y, that means this value. And if pk is negative, then equation to find pk plus 1 is pk plus 1 is equal to pk plus 2 delta x, that is this value. So here in this equation we will be using these two constants, but here in the equation we will be using these two constants. So what is the overall step? You will be given two line endpoints, using which you will have to find the values of delta y and delta x. And if delta x is greater, then you have to follow first algorithm. If delta y is greater, you have to follow second algorithm. In first algorithm, find these two constants, then find the value of p0, then repeat the steps delta x times to find all the pixel positions which lie within the starting point and ending point. And in each step, if pk is positive, use this equation to find pk plus 1. And if pk is negative, use this equation to find pk plus 1. Similarly, in the second algorithm, try to find these two constants. Use this equation to find the value of initial decision parameter. Repeat the steps delta y times so that you can find all xy values that lie between the starting and ending points. And in each iteration, if pk is positive, use this equation to find next pk. And if pk is negative, use this equation to find pk plus 1. In this way, you can easily plot all the pixels between the line endpoints. But in both these algorithms, I never mentioned anything regarding the plotting points. So how to identify which point is to be plotted? For this, we will see a table. This is the table which gives you the entire description of the plotting point. Let us study these cases. So there are 5 columns. 1 for delta x, 1 for delta y, 1 for pk. This is m less than 1 and this is m greater than 1. If delta x and delta y both are positive, if delta x and delta y both are positive, this is first case. If delta x is positive but delta y is negative, this is second case. Delta x negative and delta y positive is the third case. Final case, both delta x and delta y are negative. So how we will select the plotting points in each of these situations? Let me teach you how. We will first consider the case 1 where both delta x and delta y are positive. See, there are two cases. One is m less than 1, second m greater than 1. M less than 1, plotting points will be different in both these cases. Let us check how. See, first I am going to talk about m less than 1. If delta x is positive and delta y is positive, how will these points be calculated? There is only one rule. In m less than 1, whether pk is positive or negative, whatever may be the state, x will always change. That is, delta x is positive means in both these cases, that is if pk is positive or pk is negative, in both these cases x, next value of x will be current value of x plus 1. That means x increments. Delta x positive means in both these cases, value of x should increment by 1. What about this? Here also delta x is positive. So even if pk is positive or negative, the value of next value of x should be current value of x plus 1. That means x will increment. Here x is negative, delta x is negative, which means in both these cases next value of x will be previous value of x minus 1. Here delta x is negative, so next value of x will be previous value of x minus 1. So in all these cases, irrespective of whether pk is positive or negative, x is always having same change. If it increments here, here also it will increment. If it decrements here, here also it will decrement. So in m less than 1, irrespective of pk, x will always have same change. What about y? Delta y is positive, which means if pk is positive, y will increment. But when pk is negative, y will not have any change. That is, next value of y is current value of y itself. But here next value of y will be current value of y plus 1. So changes occur only when pk is positive. When pk is negative, y undergoes no change. Let us see this case. Here also delta y is negative, which means if it is negative, y should decrement. Where? When pk is positive. When pk is positive, y decrements, and when pk is negative, no change in y. Let us take the third case. Here delta y is positive, which means y increments. When pk is positive, y increments, and when pk is negative, y has no change. Here delta y is negative, so y should decrement when pk is positive. When pk is positive, y decrements, and when pk is negative, there is no change in y. So this is how the points are calculated in m less than 1. What about the case of m greater than 1? In m greater than 1, irrespective of whether pk is positive or negative, y will always have same change. But for x will undergo change only when pk is positive, and x will not undergo any change if pk is negative. Let us see how. Here delta y is positive, which means y should increment. So y incremented in both these cases. Here delta y is negative, which means y should decrement. Y decremented in both these cases. Delta y is positive, so y incremented in both these cases. Delta y negative, y decremented in both these cases. What about x? X is positive. That means x increments only when pk is positive, and x will not have any change if pk is negative. Here delta x is positive, so x increments when pk is positive, and x will not have any change when pk is negative. Here delta x is negative, so x decrements when pk is positive, and it will not undergo any change when pk is negative. Here delta x is negative, which means x should decrement when pk is positive and will not undergo any change when pk is negative. So in this way, there are 4 cases, and every case has pk positive case and pk negative case. If we are dealing with m less than 1, so in all cases, that is whether pk is positive or whether pk is negative, x will always undergo a change, but y changes only when pk is positive, and y will not undergo any change if pk is negative. But if it is a m greater than 1 case, then irrespective of whether pk is positive or negative, y always undergoes a change, but x changes only when pk is positive, and x will not change when pk is negative. So in this way you can easily find the plotting points. So in m less than 1 situation, every time you have to repeat the process delta x times, and every time you have to compute the plotting points using these mechanisms, and each time you will also calculate pk values. Clear? Similarly, in m greater than 1 case, in delta y times, in each time you have to find plotting points using these values, and each time you will also have to find the pk plus 1 values, pk values. Okay, so this is how Bresenham's line drawing algorithms work. Hope you understood. Thank you.